Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. Sometimes we even step outside, and you can see my breath. This rundown is dedicated to Jean-Frédéric Gauvin, who said, "I love this channel so much. EPN is my daily fix and daily dose of happiness." And he says, "I'm the best." That is so sweet. Thank you so much, Jean-Frédéric. New members, Preston Rickwood and Bradley Groot. Thank you so much for your support. You guys rock. We got you this rundown. We don't know if voice chat on the Switch will ever get better, but we do know that Nintendo is fixing another big problem. They're ending the controversial Creators Program for online streaming sites like YouTube and Twitch. For the last few years, you couldn't stream and monetize Nintendo games unless you were a member of the Creators Program, which made it difficult for the average person to stream their games. Now, anyone will be able to stream Nintendo titles and monetize them, although you'll obviously have to abide by the same rules that YouTube and Twitch put on all of their videos. In a statement, Nintendo says that they're doing this because they want to make streaming easier for content creators. So expect to start seeing a lot more Nintendo games online. It's probably not a coincidence that they're doing this just in time for the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on December 7th. And finally, that means that we can, easily start to stream a lot more Nintendo stuff. We hold off on it because we just don't like seeing those copyright flags. And this is a great move. And clearly it was a decisive move because Smash Bros. Is going to be streamed and played and shared all over the place. But I'm also excited to dive deep into the Nintendo catalog and, share some real-time thoughts on a lot of games that we talk about, but now we can kind of play them together. It's very good news. Thank you for doing this, Nintendo. It was the right move, and I am super excited to jump into lots of Nintendo games with you guys. Looking to the past, that old rivalry between Nintendo and Sega is heading to television. Legendary Pictures has announced that they're working on a TV series based on the best-selling book Console Wars, Sega, Nintendo, and the Battle That Defined a Generation from author Blake Harris. The book tells the true story of the rivalry between Nintendo and Sega in the late 80s and 90s, with each company trying to outdo the other, and Legendary plans to turn it into a limited-run scripted series. Each episode will be directed by Jordan Voight Roberts, who helmed last year's Kong Skull Island, and is currently developing another video game-related project, the big-screen Metal Gear Solid movie. This also won't be the first video game adaptation from Legendary Pictures. The studio is working on the new live-action Pokemon movie, Detective Pikachu, due out in May.
I will electrocute you!
This is very interesting, and I think that there's some slightly controversial material in the book, and I'm wondering, Legendary has kind of partnered with Nintendo with the Detective Pikachu movie. I'm wondering just how inside baseball we're going to get, because I know that back in the day, there was, not just a friendly rivalry between Nintendo and Sega. There was some viciousness, man, and there was some, definitely some sneaky things going on with each of these companies working with retailers and, working with their marketing teams. They were out for blood. They each wanted the market share, and they wanted more and more people. And it was fun to kind of watch all of that stuff because it put a lot of attention on the video game industry just because there was this big rivalry. And that extended, obviously, when Sony got into the mix and Microsoft got into the mix. This could be really cool. I'm looking forward to this very much. And in more video game adaptation news, it looks like the Gears of War movie is emerging from cover once again. The long-in-development big-screen adaptation of the video game franchise is moving forward with a new writer. The Wrap reports that the film has recruited screenwriter F. Scott Fraser, who wrote last year's action movie XXX Return of Xander Cage. He does have some experience with games because, according to his IMDb page, he was a video game tester before he became a screenwriter. It's unclear if he's starting the Gears screenplay from scratch or working from an earlier draft. Different Hollywood studios have been struggling to get a Gears of War movie off the ground for more than a decade, with several other writers attached at one point or another. This latest incarnation began life when Microsoft bought the rights to the franchise from Epic Games in 2014, with their frequent collaborator, Universal Pictures, coming aboard to produce. No word yet on who might direct. It doesn't give me a tremendous amount of confidence when a guy that wrote a XXX movie is attached to Gears of War. That's a little on the nose, right? Like, we want it to be done with, not necessarily sensitivity, but with sort of expansion at its core and at its heart. And that's what we're seeing with the Gears of War game franchise, to be quite honest. We're starting to see there's an emotional attachment to these characters and that they're way more layered and interesting than what you would first get looking at their giant necks. We don't want a movie that just sort of is all about giant necks and blowing up bad guys. We want to feel like we care about these characters, and the guy that wrote us a XXX movie, I don't really care about the XXX characters, if you can read between the lines here. So I don't know if I'm super excited about that person being the guy that's shepherding a Gears of War flick. So I don't know. Not excited yet. We'll see. Disney is getting ready to launch their subscription streaming service, but they haven't forgotten about other online platforms. They've announced a new animated series called Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures, which is being made for YouTube and Disney.com. Audiences will be able to watch episodes for free on both sites, with the first episode premiering tomorrow. Calling it a new show might only be true from a certain point of view, however. The series recreates scenes from the live-action Star Wars movies using the same audio, but replacing the video with new animation. Disney hopes that this will help introduce younger audiences to the franchise, taking their first step into a larger world. This isn't the only new Star Wars animated adventure. The Japanese anime-inspired show Star Wars Resistance premiered last month on the Disney Channel, and there are also new animated and live-action projects in the works for the subscription streaming service Disney Plus, which goes online next year. I saw a little bit of this animation for the YouTube show, and I thought it looked fantastic. I thought it was a really cool idea. I mean, it feels smart, it feels cagey, it feels like Disney's thinking, okay, we franchise, we got a franchise, we got theme parks, we got to get everybody in on this stuff. You can't blame them. You want to bring in the kids as early as possible. I've been hesitant to show my daughter any of the Star Wars stuff, the books and the comics, and I even did this silly thing on my Instagram account where I kind of made fun of the Vader and Luke Skywalker confrontation where Vader reveals he's his father, sorry, spoiler, using the animojis that are on my phone, and I didn't show that to my kid because I don't want her to hear the Luke, I'm your father. I don't want her to hear any of that. I want her to experience that in its true form in the movies, so I feel a little conflicted about this animated stuff because I don't want too much of the secret revealed. The live action is where I want my kid to start, But I can understand if there are Star Wars super families out there that just love everything about Star Wars and they want to show it off to their kids or they just want to appreciate it for themselves. Do you want to show Star Wars for the first time as these mini episodes on YouTube to your child? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious about that. Gamers who don't want to jump into Fallout 76 have another Wasteland on the way. A remastered version of the 1988 RPG Wasteland is in the works. In Exile Entertainment, the same company behind the recent sequel Wasteland 2, has announced that they're working on a remastered version of the original game, although it's unclear how much updating they'll do. Given how old school the original game looks by today's standards, we'd guess that this will probably be a remake from the ground up using the same engine as Wasteland 2. As for platforms, In Exile was recently purchased by Microsoft, so don't be surprised if it's an Xbox and Windows exclusive. The original Wasteland set the standard for open-world RPGs and directly inspired other games like the original Fallout. We'll let you know when new details on the remastered version are announced. In Exile is also working on an all-new game, Wasteland 3, due out next year. They're doubling down on Wasteland, which is pretty cool. That's Brian Fargo, who used to run Interplay. And honestly, it's interesting because Microsoft, with its purchase of Obsidian and In Exile, is kind of rebuilding the old Interplay. They used to make all kinds of great RPGs, lots of story-based entertainment. They've got a whole collection of these developers that can make these really cool top-down RPGs. So, yeah, looking forward to checking out what happens with the Wasteland franchise and what Microsoft has for both In Exile and for Obsidian. Very cool days.
It's dinner time.
All right, you guys, that's going to do it for our rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with EP Live, so please come back for that. In the meantime, we've got lots of other content for you to check out, so please do. And if you dig it, hit subscribe, hit that little bell. If you're so inclined, you can hit the join button and become an EPN member. We'd love it if you did. And you can also check out some of the merch that we sell on our merch landing page at epn.tv/merch. Thanks for watching. Play forever.